Hi, Sumit. Hi. Sumit just texted me that he's joining back. His laptop was troubling, so he's going to dial in from a different machine now. A very warm welcome to all our participants. We have a lot more people joining in as we talk. So I'm going to give it a few more minutes before we kick off this discussion. Very glad and excited to have you here. Rajendran, you have a very fascinating background.
Oh.
Is it a real wall?
It's actually a cloth, black cloth.
Wow. Hey Sumit, great to have you back.
Hi, Bhavani.
I think we also have Anand with us, who is the former president of Reddington, India. Anand, thank you for joining this call. A big shout out to you for taking out time to be here with us today.
Hi, Anand.
We'll just give it 2 more minutes for Rajendran to join back, and we'll kick off this meeting.
Hello. Hey, sir, Bhavani, sorry, I think my laptop, something happened, so I'm just logged in through my phone.
No problem, as long as you're there.
Yeah, that's fine. Thank you.
Rajendra had come in. He's kind of looks step out.
All right, thank you. I think everybody's back. To all the participants who are there, to all the a very warm welcome to all the audiences. Thank you so much, all the panel members, for taking out the time to do this. We have a great panel together, and I'm very honored to sit alongside with. I'll begin the introduction with Rajendra Dandapani. He is the Vice Chancellor of Zoho University. Also, a director at Zoho Corp, we have Rangarajan Madangopalan. He's the founder of Servion Global. And we also have Sumit Khandelwal, who is the CEO and founder of Xoxoday. Thank you, gentlemen, for coming over this. We are very excited to learn from you, to have you as our guest. So, there was a political activist of 18th century, Thomas Paine. He very famously said once, the harder the conflict, the more glorious the triumph. To put our conflict in perspective, before the COVID-19 pandemic happened, we were already witnessing a slowdown. Now, our fourth quarter's growth has gone down to 3.4%. 53% businesses have been severely hit, and 140 million people in India have lost employment. In the business, we're witnessing spending cuts. Senior decision makers are extremely cautious. Every single sales or boardroom negotiations are dominated by discounting. And the entire sales cycle is already virtual. Ladies and gentlemen, the conflict cannot be more harder for all of us in this generation we have seen. And one thing that I strongly believe, that one thing that would separate organizations who would succumb to the slowdown and from the ones who would sustain and come out triumph out of this would be their ability to sell bigger, better, faster. There cannot be a more appropriate time to say that today, that sales is everyone's business. With that thought, I'm going to invite our panelists. I'm going to open this conversation with Rangarajan. And before I hand it over to you, Ranga, I encourage all the attendees who are there with us, who are listening to us live today on this call, I would encourage you to participate in this conversation. We're going to have a quick 3 to 5 minute open comment from our panelists. And after that, it's going to be all about our interaction. We are going to make it a fireside chat. You can ask them anything and everything from the world of sales and from the world of technology selling, or from, right from your career changes to how you do and what you do, to strategies, etc. So Ranga, over to you. What are your thoughts on this topic? How do you plan? What do you do? What do you think about this?
Okay, so thanks, Bhavani. This is a very favorite topic. So stop me if I'm running a little longer than.
I'm going to do that.
Okay, please do that. So last week I was called to virtually give some best salesperson award in Servion. When you get old, you get two things. One is you get invited to give awards, and you get invited to webinars, right? So and for what 15 years or so, the best salesperson or salespersons in Servion has invariably gone to people who have not been salesmen before, and they become salesmen from technical position, project managers, solution architects, and all that. And this is not a coincidence. And this is a very hugely planned activity that we did. So what I'm going to talk about is, what 2-3 minutes of, giving a perspective of what we did. I mean, what was our experience, okay, on that, because everything about sales you can find in Google. What you can't find in Google is our experience, or my experience very specifically.
Absolutely.
At least not it. Okay. So sales is, let me state a problem statement. Good salesmen are impossible to get. I think they're becoming less and less rare, and it's impossible to find good salespeople. So when you find a salesperson, irrespective of where that person is, I think we should grab them. So we took a very conscious step. I'm going way back, not even before my entrepreneurial days. Working for TVS Electronics in the product management marketing group, we were told to fill one more vacancy that we had in our group through an internal choice. And we went and searched and actually went to a person, very tall, lanky person who was doing testing of power supplies in the quality control department, and had a chat with him and actually pulled him and convinced him that he can be a salesperson.
Right.
And pulled him in. And he happens to be the CEO, one of the founders of Savian as well, CEO of Savian, and probably Bala, who's one of the best salesmen I've seen in the world. And I've seen a bit of a world, except Latin America, I've sold in every part of the world. Okay, so he's probably the best salesman I've ever seen, and he came from a quality control department. So that's the setting, right? So when you look for sales is not an activity or it's not a skill. It is a process. Okay, and there are several people who can play roles in the process. You look for a person who actually can play a very significant part in that particular process. So as a strategy, we figured out that actually the technical guys, the project guys, have actually some of the best skills suited to sell in a solution-oriented, very involved detailed sales cycle. So we took a conscious decision to actually go and convince some of our best people to become project guys.
Right.
So obviously, there are three things that I want to share in the opening, and then after that, we'll hopefully find more answers and more issues. So when you do something like that, when you try to find a salesperson from a non-sales background, or you're trying to make everybody else sell, there are three things in our opinion, or my opinion, which were very important. I think the first was that the authenticity and the credibility that the person brings in. And it's a challenge, right? So when you actually put a project person and in front of a sales customer, one of the first thing that the person actually said was that the customer was expecting a delivery next week. And he said that, no, it's not going to happen for next 3 months' time. And the customer got a shock, we got a shock and all that. The person is not going to give a salesy information to customer. So one of the things that we realized to solve that problem was we will always share only most authentic news, transparent news with the customer. We'll give good news and bad news to the customer. So which means I can put an accountant or HR person, anybody to sell, because irrespective of who gives the information, it is going to be the same information.
Mm-hmm.
The second lesson that we learned was the orientation of a technical person was a little different. Okay, and you needed a little bit more patience to orient that person to speak a language which is different. Let me give you an example. A major telco had their systems down, all our system servers down. So the person who was moved in from a technical background, he came and told me that, look, sir, all the servers are down. So I asked them, what does it mean? He said, servers are down means servers are down. I said, no, what does it really mean? He said, no, servers are down means our system is down. And I told him, no, what does it really mean? Then he said, actually, the customer system is down. Okay, good. But what does it really mean? It means that the customers won't be able to call or do transaction.
Right.
What does it really mean? It means that they will have unsatisfied customers. They will have loss of business. Okay, so when the servers are down, actually what it means is that the customer's business is impacted, or their CSAT is impacted. Now, to make the technical person see the problem of server failing as that of the customer's business impacting is a coaching or training or mentoring that you need to give. It's a very, very long game. It requires a lot of patience because technical guys tend to be extremely technical and get on the servers. So it took us few years to convert our technical guys to speak this language, because once you speak the language, the customer starts understanding this person. Once a customer is understanding and he is able to trust this person, sales is done 98%. Okay, So this is the second challenge that we had. I mean, there are several challenges. The second point I want to highlight.
Right.
The third point I want to leave is sometimes you need to also learn to make these guys position themselves. Okay. So we had a meeting, we had a delivery for one of the largest banks, and there were big SI, IBM involved in it, and there were multiple partners involved in it, from vice president to presidents are there sitting in the room. My guy, who was actually heading the sales part of it, who came from a project background, he was trying to make a point on what exactly the situation is. While everybody was trying to listen to this, they wanted to get it authenticated by people above him, from me and all that. And it kind of became apparent that nobody was taking him seriously. So what I told him was just pulled him out. And that evening, I took him to a mall in Bombay. I told him, I got him a blazer. Okay. He said, no, I will never wear a blazer. Why should I wear a blazer? I'm a technician. I told him, just trust my wisdom. Just wear this blazer, and made him comfortable. I paid for it. Okay. And sent him to the meeting next day. And surprisingly, he said the same things that he said the previous day. Yeah. And suddenly everybody started listening to him. And it is not about the blazer. I think the language, the presence, the everything, it needs to be positioned. You occupy the position that you aspire and put in front of others.
Right.
And unfortunately, the world perceives things in a particular way. And if you're in sales, you know that perception is reality, right?
Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Ranga. I'm gonna cut you there.
Yeah. So that's my last point. Yeah.
But great points. I'm gonna come back to what you said about putting other roles. I have a very genuine question, and I know that I'm going to ask this question on behalf of a lot of my clients who believe that technical roles, especially project managers, and as SalesEdge we have done. I personally would have trained at least close to 1,500 to 2,000 odd tech roles who are customer facing to inject a sales DNA into them. But there is always a long road to enablement for them. So I'm going to come back as a part of this conversation and ask you that again. However, a small point to note what you did with the blazer. I did with the beard. So I started about 9 years back, and I had a baby face. Okay, so I started keeping a beard.
Still have one.
So Rajendran, I'm going to come back to you. You have the most interesting fun fact about you, and I want all our audiences to know about this today. Rajendran is a dropout of IT Chennai. Rajendran, before you even begin with that, why did you drop out? Was IT not fun enough for you?
Oh, truth be told, I was kicked out. I wasn't a dropout.
How interesting.
Bill Gates is a dropout. Bill Gates opted out. Steve Jobs opted out. I am just a person who was kicked out of the university because I wasn't doing well enough.
And who goes on to become?
Yeah, I was focusing on something else.
Become the vice chancellor of the Zoho University.
Yeah, it helped me in the long run. You could always say 2020 being the year, 2020 is good hindsight. Probably the way I spent my time meaningfully laid a foundation so that I could build on top of it. But I just didn't focus on the academics of the education that I was getting. I instead focused on what could be practically absorbed. See, I took on electronics and I ended up spending all my time at the computer center hacking code. So basically that didn't work out for me. But now I teach software engineering at Zoho University. Yeah.
Why did they kick you out?
Oh, because I just didn't attend enough classes. I just didn't get enough grades. I wasn't a stellar performer, you see, at college.
So you're the perfect guy for this session then.
All right. So, so Rajendran, coming back to the topic, what are your thoughts on this?
So when I first saw the topic, I actually liked it because that's something close to what our CEO also keeps saying. He says every product manager should look at themselves not as just the technical head or the architect or the user experience guru, but should look at themselves as the kiraya makan, the merchant. Yes. That merchant actually takes care of customer service, takes care of sales, takes care of planning for the strategic planning for the future, takes care of user experience, all of them put together. So he calls each of our product managers the CEO of that product.
Mm-hmm.
So sales actually is everybody's business. But yesterday I was talking to some of our senior salespeople, people who have been around for a very long time. And I told them, I'm going to go on a panel like this. I am a technologist. I am a teacher. They have called me in for this. So what are your thoughts? I was picking their brains. And they actually gave me a contrarian view. They said, sales can't be everyone's business, particularly during COVID. It can't be. And I kind of told them, but Zoho doesn't itself believe in it. Zoho believes that it is everyone's business. Always be closing, they say. So how can it be? And that is when they brought out something interesting that they have been noticing with our 50 million plus customers worldwide in these COVID times. They said, people want more time to take decisions. People don't want to be pushed. People want to do a farming, an osmotic absorption of who you are, what company you are. They want to take in, they want to visit your website, then make a call. It used to be the opposite. They would just come on the call. And today they are saying, if I get on the call, I know what you will start doing.
Yeah.
Start pushing, you'll start giving discount, you'll somehow want to close the case. Give me time, let it sink into me. And they're also looking to evaluate, will you outlast COVID? If I am going to engage with you, and if I am in COVID crisis, how are you equipped? Do you talk our language? Do you understand? Do you even know what our problems are? The GST, for example, the way we take care of loans, the way we take care of rents, every one of these points. Where are you from? What is your locus standi? Are you in the same location that I am in? Do you speak my language? Do you understand? So these seem to be the questions now. And we were able to, in an agile manner, we were able to change our own response to that in that sense. So we decided to cut down on advertising, marketing spending, and instead ramp up our vernacular support and sales people. We moved from pushing to educating. So the beautiful sequence that Mr. Rangarajan brought up about why and what does that mean and what does that mean. So if we can do the same thing with our customer, instead of telling them how many gigabytes we would be giving them and how many accounts would be there and how many tickets they can resolve in an hour or so on, if we can go up that value pyramid, so to speak, and if we can not sell technology, even though you are a high-tech company, if you can try not to sell technology and move up that emotional or conceptual value chain, I think sales can be a much better done deal. Yeah? So
100%.
My take.
Thank you for that opinion there. Sumit, you're the youngest of the slot. I'm going to bring in you the last. You run a very interesting organization. You make employee engagement platform. And I have been battling with this question that, probably when everybody is working from home, the HR, the management do not have a real employee engagement, the chance to do a real employee engagement going on with their employees. Would your business would have seen a surge in demand, or is it seen as a nice to have solution in these times? And I don't care about, any of the employee engagement activities today. What is your take? And second, what is the state of your business? How are you feeling today?
Thanks, Bhavani.
I think we should let Sumit tell us a little about what his business is too.
Yeah, I think that would be a great
No.
Yeah.
That's a good opportunity too.
Yeah,
I thought that idea actually.
This is a product plugin now. I might receive an invoice from my side. So
yeah, I thought I don't really need to do a sales over here because a lot of people would be here. They would say, why are you really selling the product? But yeah, thanks, Rajinder, for giving me the opportunity. So Xoxoday is in the space of engagement and benefits. And what we do is we say, The most important thing for organization is people. What differentiates a wow organization from a mediocre or an average organization, just not from a growth standpoint, but from a sustainability standpoint, is culture. So what we do is we have technology products which helps you create winning culture, and it probably really, as Bhavani mentioned, it really gets kind of more relevant in this stage because you kind of cannot create a culture where your office is really cool. You cannot have people who are really there. So you cannot have people who are just around where you can kind of appreciate, you cannot really communicate. Social capital is something which is really becoming tougher. You don't have those options where you can do kind of chit chat, go across a table, etc. So in this kind of environment, what really stands out is tools and products which really helps organization to have that strings attached, make it more meaningful for people to kind of recognize each other, kind of create communities where they are able to speak up. The information flow of organization is very seamless for people to come in. You have tools to kind of measure the pulse of employees regularly and kind of take steps to make them feel great and happy. So that's probably what my product does. And I think I would kind of pause over there and not speak much about the product. But and also kind of being young, and taking the Blazer example, I'm kind of wearing a t-shirt, so people kind of would say that he's kind of different around not wearing a take on sales has been is, I think it's just not primarily it's a title, it's primarily a way where everybody in the office has to start thinking of sales. Very relevant to what kind of product managers do, as mentioned by Rajinder. So what I speak about it is it's the only way that a company can actually stay in business. Which also reminds me of something which I was, a couple of years back, I had actually gone in and I was trying to meet somebody at Geo. And what I was told to them is, 2.5 years back, everybody in Geo for the first 6 months when they launched, C-levels, marketing, product, finance, tech, everybody was on the field. They had only 10% people who were allowed to be in office, and everybody had to find ways to really find out avenues to sell. So now when you're seated and you're listening that they have kind of raised 8 rounds of investment in 7 weeks, it get those business outcome. They have that way in terms of their culture, which helps them really move to get business in every format. In terms of us as a business, so we have been kind of fortunate to be a digital first company helping organizations find out ways to fight really the COVID scenario. So that's been the way where people have really found us kind of meaningful. The last piece on this point, and I'll kind of pause after that, is I personally feel, and I think what something which I do is, it's every individual tends to do sales regularly, and then you don't know about it, you don't say yourself to be a sales guy. Imagine when you're doing an interview and when you are interviewing for a product manager or a tech manager or a sales manager, you are trying to sell yourself.
Right.
As founders,
There's something wrong with your audio, I guess.
Can you mute him? Yeah, and then come back in.
Yeah, you should mute him and ask him to do a re-login.
You can log out and log back in. There's some challenge with your audio. There was a very interesting point you were making. So while Sumit comes again, on a broad level, so I had no doubts when we proposed this topic that we would have a very unified view on the subject, and all three of you as panelists somewhere agree that it is a good thing to have the entire organization and include various different roles from different profiles and encourage them and train them and enable them to become more revenue oriented, to have a more, we have a sort of a unified view on that. Who's listening here? Now, this is easier said than done, gentlemen. I have, as a sales training organization, we have worked with 200 plus B2B tech organizations, and believe me, I do not hear anything different. The real challenge starts when, how do I enable my tech teams, my project managers, my solution architects to become more revenue aligned? Now, I'm looking for ways or how you have done this successfully, a step-by-step guideline, how you started this, what is the right way to do it, and how can we shorten the enablement cycle of what we are trying to achieve. Is my question clear, Rajendran and Ranga?
Yeah.
Right. So please go ahead, present your thoughts and stories. I would love to hear your perspective on, the how part of the whole.
You want to take a shot?
Sumit is back.
Yeah, so sorry about it. I think laptop really is struggling today. Sorry about it.
Come back to you. Rajendran is trying to answer a question, so we'll just be back to you, Sumit. Thank you for coming.
So one thing that we noticed was going beyond the documented process and the SLA, and being comfortable enough, being willing enough to make exceptions, to accept delays in payment, for example, accept tweaks in the proposed order. See, software is something that we write, and we can't just say that's the way the system is. It's something we created. So customizing a solution to match a person's need, if we can convey to our buyers that we can actually listen. It's not some multinational etched in stone process, and this is how it will be. Take the gold version, the platinum version will be this much costlier with this many more features, and the jump will be so high. I wouldn't want all the 25 additional features you are giving me, but just for this single feature, you're going to ask me to pay that much. Things like this, if we can provide, we have been able to do that with some of our products, small customized tweaks to our esteemed customers, sometimes through our partner network. If we can do that, that demonstrates empathy. Empathy is now at short supply because all of us are struggling for survival. And if we can, even at that time, demonstrate empathy, that goes a very long way in building that bridge of trust. So if the bridge of trust is built, the salesperson can cross over across, right? So I would rather look at it as creating the right platform for the sales team and empowering them with the right weapons. That is everybody's business.
Right.
So we need to do that. We need to demonstrate empathy above everything else.
Right. Thank you so much. Rangarajan.
And one last point. I also realized that now it's always been an intent, but now it seems the real need of the hour, which is working with even our competition, partnering with every one of them out there, because eventually we need to get the job done, and we realize that one person can't do it. One company can't do it. It's a bouquet of solutions that everybody consumes. So we need to put our differences behind, particularly when we are faced with a situation, a global pandemic situation. You need to paper over all that and shake hands rather than lock arms in a
I guess the whole world is zooming. My laptop gave up in Zoom, so I'm just logging in and shaking myself in the phone. Okay, so while while he's picking up, let's think. I think Raj, I think you absolutely said it. Empathy is the single most important weapon that we have in all times, and particularly these times. I'll just elaborate a little bit in terms of what we did in that. See, empathy is nothing but putting yourself in customer's shoes and owning the problem of the customer yourself. See, in our business, a lot of times our customers, we serve their customers, and our customers don't know what their customers want. Okay.
Yeah.
So what we did as a culture was every team lead and above, about 50-60 people in the organization, like a military draft, every year, 1 week, they will actually drop everything that they do and go and spend time only with the customer as though he's the customer. They will be in their call centers, they'll be in their front-end centers, they'll be talking to employees and go through this exercise of understanding what our customers go through.
Right.
Yeah. Okay. Now, that 1 week is like a free time that, I mean, we don't count their work at all. But that 1 week actually changes what the person does in 51 weeks. Very simple things. The guy who stands next to an agent realizes that person is getting 15 clicks to reach a thing. So he says, no, can I make it in 3 clicks?
Yeah.
No, this understanding, whatever I teach will never happen unless my guy actually goes and spends time with the customer. So we made actually a compulsory 1 week, like a military draft kind of thing, dedicated to a customer. And of course, customers loved it because they were getting extra attention.
Got it. So I think it looks like Bhavani is will take some more time. So my 2 questions, I think.
Priya is the host. It says Priya is the host.
Yeah, Priya is,
You continue from where you left off.
I don't know where did I don't know where I left, but I think what I'll do is I'll kind of share specific snippets of some things which I realize as kind of working with teams around. One specific thing, and I think this is something which happened only 2 days back. A guy was doing well in sales. He comes back and says, sales is not the kind of best roles which you can really do. It's not glamorous. I really want to get into product. I want to do tech business. Now, I had my thoughts, but I would want to hear from you guys as well, because that's something people start saying, yeah, finally you're a Selu. So, and my take on him was, while you kind of become a business analyst or you kind of become kind of a project manager, the role which will never kind of really get, or you would always have a demand is kind of, if you are getting some kind of revenue churn, organization will never kind of give you a buy over there. While any other role kinds of becomes obsolete, kind of people say, what are you doing? Some of the best kind of, some of the biggest sales guys are the ones who actually become CEOs of the company. So what's your take on it? And I think, and I'm sure a lot of people must be coming on that line. The audience over here is also people who come from sales as a background. And so what's your take if people want to really move from kind of sales to kind of, I want to do product management, I want to do integrations. I really don't want to keep selling for my life.
Yeah, sales is the best place in the world. But I think, yeah, if the person wants to move to product management, then I think that we need to figure out what is the fear. Sometimes sales is a very risky job, right? Yeah. It gets you a lot of visibility, a lot of rewards, but when you don't meet your annual numbers, it's also, I mean, salesmen are usually the first guys to lose jobs in an organization. I think I'm being honest here. So it's a risky job. So I think it's a question of how much risk appetite the person has. Sometimes it is better to actually rotate and rotate them through other positions and then bring that person back. The reverse is also true. The technical persons trying to get into sales, give them a very slow, path to it. Don't put pressure on them on the day one. Allow them to fail for some time. Allow them to do some small things before they are actually ready to take. Eventually, they take big numbers, but you've got to be patient. I think if you want to build this as a culture, the patience of the management is extremely critical, in my opinion. I mean, that's what we did.
Great. Thank you. Ranga, I'm going to stay with you because a very critical question, and a lot of our guests who have joined in are from classic B2B technology organizations. Now, you run, uh, you have a very classic large deal enterprise class sales environment, and this segment in technology business is the hardest hit. Now, what is it that Serviano is doing today? Um, what is your medium to long term strategy? How do you plan to overcome this? What are the priorities that you have today as an organization, as a leader? I understand that you do not play an active role today. You have a full time CEO to take care of it. But in general, what is the sense? What are you doing? What are your priorities? How do you plan to come out of this pandemic, and how do you plan to bounce back in business?
Good question. I think, irrespective of your size and age and shape and all that, everyone is affected, and there's no doubt about that. I think at a basic level, we are actually making sure that we have a very large base of customers who've been with us for many years, 15, 20 years, never lost them, and all of them are in trouble as well. So we kind of hug our customers extremely well, make sure that the existing business is protected. Survival is the key. But beyond that, there are only three things that, I mean, the point I spoke about, the cultural change that we did across the organization to change us from a technical organization to one who is asking problems of customers. Okay, so there are only three things that we do to customers. We enhance their customer experience, we help them reduce costs, we help them sell more. Now, this problem is universal. Whether COVID comes or doesn't come, it's universal. It's going to be there for next 1,000 years. Okay, so we will continue to do what we did, for all these years, but obviously we'll do it with more vigor. Okay, we are trying to sit on the strategy table of our customer and ask, okay, what are the things that are affected? What are the things that were worked in the past will not work? Now, how can we be the one who will help you change? Okay. Right. So we're asking that question while we are protecting the thing. Obviously, we are also giving some customers time to pay us little slowly, or we're trying to be a little more sharing of the risk as well and all that.
The flexible payment plans are working out for you?
Pardon me?
The flexible payment plans?
It is, but the problem is that most of our customers are actually large, so they don't really require that. I mean, HDFC Bank doesn't require that, but we are offering where it is required. But I think what they are liking is our flexibility to actually invest efforts to redesign things, or I mean, I'm not really necessarily putting a value to it. We're not putting a proposal. We're being fairly flexible at that. I think that's helping. So just, I mean, this is the time to hug your customers. I think it may sound cliched.
Yeah.
B2B, absolutely, there's no other choice.
No, I agree. And I would pull Sumit into this. Sumit, you have a very different kind of a business compared to what Ranga has. And what are your thoughts on the same topic? How is your incremental pipeline looking today? How do you plan to go back to reporting flying numbers in your case? And what are the exact steps as a CEO that you are putting in place and I know that you have managed it well. You're doing already great. And that is why you're on the panel today, so that we can learn from your experiences. So it would be pretty awesome if you can break down your playbook for us and help us understand, so we can just create a cheat code from what Xoxoday has done so far.
Sure. So I think first and foremost, this has really brought in a big change in the way we looked at sales. I think I personally used to kind of travel almost like 5 days a week or 4 days a week, meet customers, always believe that unless you meet customers, you kind of really not sell. I think that's probably it started from me, and then kind of everybody started using. So the entire sales playbook has been rewritten. Every kind of pieces, so our entire pitch used to be kind of, so we used to also kind of build in rewards as an element in our pitch, has really gone back, because we understand it's no more. The element is more about savings, cost cutting, so how you can kind of help in digital workplaces. So one, we tend to, everybody of us kind of unlearned and try to adapt ourselves to the change, which means Meetings are more on a Skype now, and we are getting used to it. How do you tend to create that relationship while you are still in a Skype meeting? So one of the things which I also gave in a kind of presentation to my teams, I said, what do you do essentially when you go for a meeting? You essentially want to meet and see a face. While when you do a kind of a Skype call, most of the times you are kind of hiding a face over there. So the first and foremost thing I said is kind of wear a cloth as kind of smart as you would go for a meeting, and kind of sit and request, or at least proactively reach out and say that, hey, I'm able to see your face. So but those are things which you kind of build in as a change element for your entire team. Now, that's one thing. The other thing which we looked at is we realized that we kind of proactively understood that this is coming in and this would last for 3 to 6 months. So I think that's something which we did right. We reached out to our customers. We tend to say that these are the few things. Why don't you really start looking at automating some of those things which you have been doing in the offline format? We tend to find out multiple use cases which was happening. So I'll give you a simple example. And I think, so we realized that organization spends a lot of money in terms of food for their employees.
Right.
They don't have a food court now. We said that what is the budget going in? So we said, why don't you kind of really look at doing it as benefit to all your employees through a tool like this? Now, that budget, which was primarily getting into a meal, is kind of really becoming in an auto mode where we are saying that you help your employees get some grocery over there. Now, building those ideas are the ones which kind of build in a difference. So I personally found that as leaders or kind of people who lead organizations, you really have to find opportunities and find people who kind of really identify those 4-5 seat pockets and really ensure that your teams are kind of speaking on those lines is something which you do. No compromising on what really Ranga mentioned. You really have to have that empathy. You cannot be a hard sales guy. You cannot expect that you go on a call and say, please kind of let's close the contract. If you kind of do that, that's the last thing which you want. Because on the other side, people are also worried. There's a big fear. Everybody's not sure when this is really low. So these are the few things which we did. We understood that the purchase cycle would be longer. So have that patience. And last thing is motivating your team by itself. So when you speak of motivation, you have to speak to your sales team, you have to speak to your product guys, you have to speak to different teams, giving kind of regularly communicate what's happening, is the business going, what's happening, what's not working. So I think communication is again a kind of very basic thing which gets everybody kind of giving their best at the workplace, and that's something which has helped.
Couldn't agree more there. Rajendran, yeah.
See, let's also look at some positives. We are a technology company. We are selling SaaS-based tools for the past 20 years now. And the world has woken up to a realization that probably adopting some kinds of technology tools, particularly for remote working, for telepresence, for video conferencing, for collaborating online without having to physically work in the same space, they are no longer a luxury. They are no longer an add-on. Right? The point that he made about 5 days a week travel versus 5 video conferences on one day. That's the transition he has made.
Yeah.
So if we can do that, it's no longer about using technology as a booster for your company, but not missing the bus.
Right.
So the salespeople actually have it made in that sense when you sell tools like that. But we also have a problem of plenty. There are probably 45 video conferencing tools out there selling their wares. One person talking about the other person's security holes, another person saying, let us uninstall all apps from China, and so on. So a wider understanding of the whole ecosystem of products, how in Zoho, for example, our products, their biggest claim to fame is how well they work with the other products from Zoho, how well they integrate, how well they share. So if we can get a holistic perspective, people are not buying technology, people are not buying tools, people are buying peace of mind. Right? There is a beautiful article by Seth Godin where he talks about quarter-inch drill bits, he says. It seems a Stanford marketing professor came up with the idea, and stop selling quarter-inch drill bits. That guy, that American, is not buying quarter-inch drill bits. What he is buying is actually a quarter-inch hole on the wall. In fact, wait, he is not buying a quarter-inch hole. He is buying a beautiful picture of the family on the wall. Wait, he is not buying a beautiful picture of a family on the wall. He is buying the time to watch the next basketball match on NBA TV. Wait, he is not buying a basketball match on NBA TV. He is buying that wry smile on his face when his wife walks in, about to complain, all day you have been watching TV, you didn't do a single piece of work. This guy looks behind him and there is that beautiful photograph on the wall. That is priceless. So try selling not quarter-inch drill bits, but that smile on this guy's face. So if we can elevate the user offering, if we can provide that holistic understanding to our employees, to our teammates, to our sellers, I think that will translate into good results.
That is a very powerful way to put this across. And as you know, we always say that, you know, people make emotional buying decisions for logical reasons. We make emotional buying decisions in our personal lives and as corporate buyers, and we go on to justify them for logical reasons. So what you're saying, Rajendran, is 100% correct. Sell the emotion, sell the personal value of
not lie.
Fact.
It's not about spinning a lie.
Yeah, yeah.
It's about packaging the truth well.
Right. It is about engaging your buyer with the emotional value of your solution and what it can do for you in the long run. Great point. Ranga, do you have a thought there?
Well, yeah, I mean, our entire sales marketing life has been based on what Rajendra said. I also want to share a couple of don'ts. I mean, I've been speaking to a lot of customers. One of the things that I do in these times is actually talk to all our, and not just COVID times, but all the times, and is to be in touch with the customers. One of the things that they're saying is they're actually getting a little tired of people saying that, hey, these are difficult times, COVID times, can I sell something to you?
Yeah.
They're getting badgered. I mean, and I've heard this from multiple customers. So if I were a salesperson, I would not badger a customer. I would rather quietly go underneath, find out using empathy, find out what those real opportunities are and things like that. Do a little bit more work and tell them that, hey, can I do this for you based on your data? Don't badger. I think the customers are getting, and every conference, every mail is starting with these are difficult times, and they make it more difficult than ever before, right? Actually, many of our customers, between you and me, are using this opportunity to do a lot of rethink. As Rajendran said, they're actually very positive, frankly. And these mails are making them extremely negative. So don't let your marketing department send 1,000 mails a day. You know, that's a bad idea.
Do not overuse the hashtag COVID-19. And when we were planning for this webinar, we were well aware that everybody's exhausted of webinars.
In fact, there's a little tidbit.
Yeah.
Did you know when the first COVID-19 case was formally identified? Do you know the date?
I don't remember.
It is December 31, 10 p.m. 2019. December 31, 10 p.m. I should actually thank, because if it is COVID-20, we would be talking as if it's the present. It's a constant reminder. That has also come and gone. It's 19. It missed by 4 hours being called COVID-20.
Right.
Yeah.
No, thank you. Thank you. So Rajendran, I have a question, and so a lot of people have today. What is Zoho University? I think that's a very important question that I wanted to ask you today. How did it, tell us a little bit about it. How did it came into being? Also, what are your plans with Zoho University? Do you see, congratulations on supporting, I think 580 schools in Maharashtra. You're supporting them with the technology. That's a hats off to you, sir. That's a brilliant initiative. I saw Sridhar's post on it, and congratulations on that. But looking by that, do you see playing a larger public role in future? What does it mean? How did it came alive? Give us the story behind it.
Right. So you asked me 4 or 5 questions. I'll try to take them one
Yes.
by one. So Zoho University, today it's called Zoho Schools of Learning because we didn't want to get associated with the university and the other
Right.
legalities that might go with it. So Zoho Schools was born in 2004, way back in 2004, when we were in such a big brand in India and we still wanted to attract good talent. And the kind of talent that eventually came to us, we were getting a feeling that either they came with bookish knowledge or they weren't really trained for a career in software. Much of what they had learned was already becoming outmoded, and experiential learning was missing. They were answering fill in the blank questions and essay type questions in paper using pens when they should actually be writing code if they want to claim that they are software engineers. Even after joining our organization, we had to spend 6 to 12 months training them, 18 months training them before they were ready to actually get on production. So that's when we thought, can we try being the change that we are clamoring for? So we went to a nearby school and looked for some kids with fire in the belly, with some motivation, but not too many options because even today and even then, an engineering degree or a medical degree or any other high-tech, high-value degree is too costly, not affordable by everybody. 80% of kids today who finished class 12 cannot really aspire for a high-tech education. That's the state of the country today. But those are the diamonds in the rough. Zoho prides itself of that fact that it can locate those people and create a good connection between an employee and the employer and get great work done from them, leave them with a satisfied, I have created something that will outlast me kind of warm
Right.
feeling in their mind. So we created a packaged program, an 18-month to 2 years program, where we have classroom courses. We teach them in an experiential, relevant, and contextual manner. Who teaches them? Not professors from colleges, but actual software engineers in my own company. Designers come and teach design. Salespeople come and ask these students to tag along on a sales call. Watch me and learn. That's how a two-wheeler repair shop works. There'll be this little kid who will start. That's how he becomes the two-wheeler repair shop in the next street a few years later. So experiential immersive learning was what we thought we should do. So today we have a school of technology, a school of design, a school of business, and a school for advanced study. 850 employees of Zoho are actually from Zoho schools, including my own son.
Wow.
Yeah, including my own son. They all graduated out of, they haven't seen the inside of a college. So this is Zoho schools. The other thing you asked about Maharashtra and also about all of India, we think the time has come for schools to wake up and embrace digital, embrace remote, embrace drip learning, what I call drip learning, where 2-minute packages, 5-minute packages. Baiju is doing a great job. It woke people up to understand that a mobile phone can actually be a sought after device for a parent to give their child. Very few apps have done that.
Right.
PUBG hasn't done that. Right? So we think we can provide tools for teachers, for administrators, for parents, and for students to actually come in a digital collaborative mode. World over, there is this crisis in education. It was already brewing, like you mentioned, it was brewing in the world of business. It was brewing in the world of education also. And today, realization has come that giving up my agency, my freedom, my money, and my youth to just get a certificate after 4 years from your esteemed university is not really as lucrative as it used to be in the previous generation. Times have changed. There is this beautiful video online called the fish ball. Shift happens, they call it.
Right.
And the beautiful line there that keeps coming back to my mind is, we are trying to prepare students to solve problems that we don't even know are problems yet, using technologies that haven't even been invented yet.
Right.
If that is the pace with which things are changing, how can you predict that for the next 4 years, this is the curriculum we will be following. Proudly at Zoho schools, we don't follow a book. Students, when they join us, they ask for what book to follow. We say, if it is printed in a book, probably it's already obsolete. Let's learn from the creators of that programming language. Let's learn from the creators of the technology. We learn marketing from Seth Godin. We read his blog post that he wrote 10 days ago. That's how we learn. So that's what we are trying to do with Zoho schools.
I'm thrilled to know that, this is not just in theory, but 850 of these graduates are working in Zoho.
Yes.
And, you have not only given them a future, but a job, but you have given them a career. You have given them a hope that is going to last generations in their families. And
so we don't charge fees. We give them a stipend of 10,000 rupees per month, starting from the first month. And they become full-blooded engineers or full-blooded designers or marketers in 2 years. Compare that with the other kids who are still stuck in the third year at college.
I think this is something that a lot of corporates need to incorporate into them and follow. A great job. I'm so proud of being associated with an organization who does this.
Thank you.
I'm going to end this conversation. We are already towards the fag end of the time now. But one quick advice from all of you. Also, I'll invite any questions that we have. We have one question from Shivam. He has posted, but in the meanwhile, in case somebody has a question, do drop me a chat on the chat box or on the Q&A box so I can ask our panelists here. Sumit, before we end this conversation, as an entrepreneur, as a successful CEO of a SaaS product company, what is that one skill which you think is the most critical today? Do not go to, I just need one skill, which according to you is the most critical for anyone in a customer facing role. I'm not specifically talking about a sales rep, a project manager, just one skill according to you, which is most critical to have. If I don't have it, I need to go out and learn that. This is going to be very helpful to everybody, including me, who's listening to you today.
I would consider it as perseverance.
Perseverance?
Yeah. And I personally, I'm not really the best in having it.
How do I learn perseverance? I mean, I'm not letting you off the hook by dropping in a keyword here. What is perseverance? How do I learn perseverance? I mean, this sounds good in theory. And I know that, all of us have practiced it. I know that it took me 5 years to figure out what I was doing with SalesEdge. So I understand that, perseverance plays a role there, that you do not hang up your boots and you do not throw in the towels. And perseverance will play a very critical role when it comes to seeing off this pandemic as well. But in case this message has to go out loud and clear as an actionable insight to everybody who's listening out, what would you say there?
So personally, I learned a bit, and I would thank some people I learned a bit when I started running long distance.
Tell us about that.
Yeah, you don't. So I do run half marathons. I'm not really competed full, but so when I started the first one, I was thinking, and this is like 1 year, within 1 year, the first 100 meter I was thinking I will not be able to run.
Uh-huh.
Then the first 1 kilometer, and then the first 1.5 kilometer, and then the 3 and the 5, and everything. So every day you want to give that 100 meters extra, or kind of you start with 100 meter and that extra 1 kilometer, etc.
Right.
In the current scenario, when you cannot run, you should start thinking about kind of if you are cleaning your utensils.
No, I think
what is the extra one, and then your wife says this is the last one, or you want to why don't you just clear that? So I think those are simple things, but I personally think that that has to be that's where your internal power. I think some people say meditation, some people say yoga. I do understand different people might find different ways to build that. There is no way, because finally, as entrepreneur, as kind of leaders with whom I am along, who have gone through some of the journey, they do know that it's all marathon. They are kind of re-questioning themselves. What has worked for them is not working today. What is working today will not work tomorrow. So you just have to stick back saying, kind of, let's do that extra 100 meters.
Sumit, we have a curvy bouncer for you. There is this question from an anonymous attendee. He says this is a question for Sumit. He says we are a client of Xoxoday from the IT industry, and we've been working from home since 21st March. Although not expected, the employee nominations for R&R has gone down a bit. Work is going on pretty well with the most of the deliverables meeting their targets dates despite everyone working from home. But for some reason, the rewards and recognitions have slowed down from before. How are other companies responding to this during pandemic period? Is it only specific to our organization, or is there a trend here?
So I think thanks for asking the question, and I think it's helpful. So and this is also a kind of request. So most of the companies believe that the first kind of spends which you want to contain is you contain costs on your people, and we have seen that. So spends which have been kind of on rewards, on some basis of recognition, which was happening, is places where organizations started cutting it. I did mention to you earlier as well in the talk was difference between a great and a kind of average organizations would be a kind of difference where how you are treating your employees today at this kind of time. With no kind of specifics to the question which he has asked, and there could be multiple other reasons to the questions which this specific person has asked. In this case, we have realized that there's kind of not much spends happening on rewarding. I don't think people really look for that extra 1,000 or 5,000 bucks. People look for kind of appreciation. People look for kind of recognition. People look forward a pat on the back. People look for interesting ways where they are able to get communicate. So I think multiple companies have looked at using those as a tool than really looking at spending that extra money. And that's something which multiple organizations has picked up. So we've really seen a kind of surge in the kind of organizations who have been looking at recognition, appreciation, kind of culture, communication tools over there.
Thank you.
I hopefully answered that question as well. But if there's some specific individual, I would kind of directly speak to them. That's something. It's always good to kind of speak to customers, and I think this is more like a customer's customer. So you get a lot of insights from that.
Thank you so much, Sumit. I think I'd like to add to what you said. I have been talking about this in a lot of forums. Very often, it is only seen, tough times are only seen as a one-way traffic of what organizations do for employees. Sometimes as employees, we forget and we fail to understand that it is our equal responsibility as well to respond with equal empathy towards the organization, towards the CEO, towards the management, because like everyone else, we are also going through a tough time. The P&Ls are stretched. No CEO in the world likes to cut down on the R&R programs. We like to award people. We like to retain our top talents. And I think as much as empathy and support, the employers are supposed to show towards the employees, it is equally important that the same support is being seen from the employee side towards your organization. So this is a tough time for everyone, including the founder, CEO, your management, your organization. Stay supportive, everyone. With that, I'm going to switch to Ranga. Ranga, what is your one advice? What is your one skill that you think is most important in this post-COVID era?
Yeah. So I would put that as emotional intelligence. Emotional intelligence is a very large part of empathy, which is, I think, absolutely critical at this stage. But it also gives you a little, it's a combination of empathy, self-awareness, and ability to influence, motivate. I think that's what will set the leaders apart. So emotional intelligence is absolutely the one which is going to help us pull through these times and any other time as well, but especially at these times. So I would put on that extremely hard. It gives us a little time as well, right? I mean, there's a time to step back and look at where you are and learn some techniques of enhancing your emotional intelligence.
Right. Thank you. Rajendra, why don't you close this one?
Yeah. So I would say we need to learn to measure the right thing. Sales is all about quotas and numbers, but we need to realize there is this beautiful thing called the Goodhart's law, because the more and more you start measuring something, the goal becomes passing that measurement rather than actually achieving the target. So in Ben Horowitz's recent book, The Hard Thing About Hard Things, he talks about a beautiful example where he saw that the last month of a quarter, there was a frenzy for closing deals. And he wanted to somehow even it out and get the earlier months also have good sales. So he started giving monthly impetus and monthly bonuses for closing that month. And he thought the quarter will be evened out instead of a big spike, a hockey stick at the end of the quarter. But guess what happened? Did any of you read that book? Do you know what happened? It seems what happened was it started slipping even more. And instead of closing everything just before the quarter ended, for the monthly target bonus, things started falling into the next quarter's first month.
Yeah.
So, so let us realize we are working with irrational.
We've all been there.
Let's all realize that we are working with irrational human beings at both sides of the table, the seller and the buyer.
Right.
Measuring the right things is the most important thing.
Right. I think, thank you so much. I'm going to summarize the 3 skills that our panelists have mentioned today. Perseverance, emotional intelligence, and measuring the right metrics are going to be very critical as we move forward. One thing that I would like to add from my side in my experience of being a sales consultant over the years is the ability to build the incremental pipeline in these times is going to be supremely critical. Please understand, there are not going to be many closures which are happening. There are not going to be many marquee deals which we would see in the short to medium term future. But what is very critical is how do you continuously build that engagement? How do you build that incremental pipeline? That ability of the rep, that ability of the project manager, the solution architect, whoever it is, your ability to bring down a suspect on the table to talk about, hey, how can we partner and work together? It is going to be supremely critical. Your ability to prospect, your ability to secure that meeting, your ability to build that funnel is one single important thing that I would say from my side as a takeaway from this conversation. Thank you so much, everyone. I'm truly thrilled. There was an overwhelming participation. I'm so lucky to have a panelist like you. Let's do this sometime again. I'm going to think of another interesting topic and we can be back as a panel. But thank you so much, ladies and gentlemen. Everybody joined in.
I want to apologize for my video. I'm not usually as shaky as the video suggests, but my laptop just refused to load Zoom and I had to hold the phone in my hand and charge it parallel and all that. And I apologize for my video.
No problem at all. No problem at all, sir. So thank you so much, everyone. A special shout out to Arvind Devraj, who's the VP of TechM. We also have Animesh, Senior Vice President from Antwerps, Gautam Munshi. Anand is here, who's the CEO of Raksha Technologies. I'm not sure, Sachin, if I saw you here, but Sachin Hai from my side is the CEO of Incture. Vipul Datta, FutureSoft Solutions. Dr. Sanjeev Singh is the CEO of Neo Pharma. Suresh Bapu, who's the VP of UiPath. Thank you so much for joining in today. And what an incredible conversation it's been. Thank you so much.
Thanks,
I look forward to seeing you again.
Bye. Thanks, Momani.
Thank you.
Thanks, Sangha. Thanks, Rajan.